Hi there, and welcome to my channel, You Are What You Think. In my previous two videos, I've given you a broad overview of what an external brain system is. I've told you why I found it so helpful, and I told you how I stumbled across the idea in a great book called How to Take Smart Notes. And I've told you also that I think you should go and read it yourself. What I haven't done is show you my external brain system and given you a walkthrough of my workflow process. Now, let me caveat this before I carry on by saying there are better and more beautiful examples of external brain systems out there. But what I find exciting about mine is that already, even though it's in its early stages, it's already taking on the characteristics. It's already reflecting my interests and my study and my passions, and that's exactly what it's meant to do. I hope that taking a peek into my external brain system over the next couple of minutes inspires you to start your own external brain journey. If you find this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments or any ideas about future videos that you'd like to see, please pop a comment in the comment section below. Let me give you a quick recap on why I need an external brain and what an external brain is. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. But in the abstract and without organization and application, knowledge is impotent. And I've known this for a long time. I've read up to 100 books a year sometimes, and I've come across thousands of ideas with the potential to change my life and to change the lives of those around me. And I must say, those ideas have shaped me, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to read so much. These ideas have changed the course of my life more than once. But you see, as I said before, my brain has very limited capacity, and I forget almost all that I read. Simple as that. And so for years I've read and studied and made notes in margins. I've filled notebooks with thoughts and ideas and references. Then I collected folders upon folders of notes and PDFs and articles and URLs and hoarded them digitally on Evernote, for example. But this didn't help me. It didn't help me learn, it didn't help me change, it didn't help me grow. Actually, all it did was left me feeling lost and overwhelmed. I knew I was only benefiting a fraction from the potential power of all this study that I was doing. Anyway, in this mess and in this frustration, along comes the great book, How to Take Smart Notes by Dr. Tonk Ahrens. And this opened up a whole new philosophy of study to me. And so my definition of an external brain is this. An external brain is a physical or digital system of active idea capture which allows you to link ideas across time and genre and to interact with these ideas in order to develop and create your own ideas. And so there we are, the big picture. The theory. But before I move on to making other videos about my other passions on this channel, I think it is worth putting the theory into a practical context for you to see what the heck it is I'm talking about when I talk about an external brain. Let me first start by explaining my journey between physical and digital. So I read How to Take Smart Notes twice in December 2021. I got excited about the content and I wanted to get started as soon as possible. Nikolaus Luhmann, the German sociologist who popularized the Zettelkasten or external brain system, was born into a world long before Microsoft and the personal computer. And so naturally, he constructed his external brain in good old-fashioned analog. He wrote down his ideas in over 90,000 note cards, filling hundreds of drawers full of his ideas. And to be honest with you, I'm far from a technical whiz. And so in January 2021, I bought 2 slipbox drawers from Amazon and a few hundred A6 note cards and began to construct my external brain. And I really enjoyed it. And it all went swimmingly for maybe 2 weeks. Now, I loved the discipline of making meaningful notes. I enjoyed the challenge of having only a small space to write on. I also understood and appreciated the alphanumerical linking system that Luhmann employed. But as much as I love pen and paper, the whole process very quickly became unnecessarily clunky to me. The biggest issue for me was linking. If I came across an idea, I'd write it down, I'd reference it, and I'd put it in my slipbox. A week later, perhaps, I'd come across a related idea, and I had to rely too much on my memory and my manual record keeping to link my thoughts to other thoughts sharing similar themes. And then there was the backlinks. It just became a nightmare really quickly. Now, I was pretty disheartened, if I'm honest, but I am a stubborn git, and anyone that knows me can attest to this. So I saw on Dr. Aaron's website that he offered Zettelkasten consultations via Zoom for a reasonable fee, and so I booked one. Now, the call didn't go exactly as planned. We connected, we swapped introductions. He's a very nice chap, very clever chap, and I explained my problem to him. All I wanted was for him to give me a few tips and reassure me that I was on the right track, and he didn't. Not even close. As soon as I described my problem, he told me straight away that I should go digital, and spent the rest of the appointment showing me around his digital external brain system. But I'm British, so I smiled, I thanked him very much for his help, and then as soon as I hung up, I cursed him. And so, feeling very frustrated, I turned to the all-knowing God, YouTube, for help. Now, I soon discovered that not all, but most of the people I came across agreed with Dr. Aaron's. Digital was the way forward. And so reluctantly, I agreed. But I had a couple of things that I wanted to iron out or reassure myself with beforehand. And the first is linking. As I said, one of my biggest concerns with the physical external brain was the manual effort of linking and the room for error that the manual process caused. And you see, if I'm going to dedicate my energy and trust to a learning system with potentially 30 years of my thoughts, then I didn't want to be dependent on a manual and laborious and error-prone process unnecessarily. And so a digital tool with a simple linking mechanism and automatic backlinks would definitely be attractive to me. Now, the second is ownership. Who owns my data? I'm not some sort of conspiracy theorist here, but I like to own my own stuff. So ownership is a big issue for me. Who owns my thoughts, and where is my information stored? Is my external brain system at risk of being lost or exploited or something by a distant, hard-to-reach company? Ideally, what I'd be looking for was a platform which allowed me to control, have ownership, and have responsibility for my own external brain. The other thing I'd be looking for is transferability. What if a better tool in the future became available, which is entirely possible? What happens to all the effort of the thoughts that I'd recorded in my external brain? Would I be able to transfer to a better platform? Or would I need to start from scratch? Well, that was a big issue for me. So I'd be looking for a digital tool which used a basic and easily transferable format. This, if I found one, would greatly ease my stress or concerns beforehand. And so those were my primary concerns. And so I set about looking for a digital tool which would tick these boxes and hopefully a couple more boxes also. And actually, after very little research, I came across this tool called Obsidian. So why did I choose Obsidian in the end? Well, in a nutshell, the reasons are these. First, the linking system, including backlinks, is intuitive and simple. Second, I retain ownership and responsibility for my data. It's stored locally on my computer and in my backup drives. Transferability is secured because the format of the information is in Markdown, which is a simple code which any digital tool will be able to read in the future. It also had some other benefits. The community focus of the backend, the guts of Obsidian, the creators within the Obsidian community, even in the time that I've used Obsidian, there's been constant improvement and innovation that have really helped develop the tool at a great pace. The subscription fee is low, which is attractive. And then there's something called the graph view in Obsidian, which is an excellent visualization of your external brain. And for somebody who thinks visually like I do, that is really exciting. And so let me walk you through my workflow. I use Obsidian for my external brain system, for journaling, for YouTube scripts, etc. But I wanted to walk you through my Obsidian external brain workflow for study in particular, because this is what I use Obsidian for mostly. Now for me, it all starts still with a book and a pencil. Now I always read a book with a pencil in hand because one of my old lecturers told me that we think as we write and we forget what we don't. And I took that to heart. So when I read, I have a pen or pencil in hand and a piece of paper next to me. And as I read, I'll perhaps record some of what I've read as a reference with a page number in it, and then I'll write my thoughts underneath. Later that morning or after work, I'll take a look back over my notes, and at this stage, I'll either choose to keep it, I'll merge any repeated ideas, or I'll cross anything out which on reflection doesn't seem worth keeping any longer. Now, you may think that this adds friction to my external brain process, and you may ask, wouldn't it be more efficient for me to just have my laptop next to me as I read and record my thoughts directly onto Obsidian? And I'd say, yeah, it does create friction, and actually I'm okay with that, and it's by design, because not all friction is bad. And actually, this part of the process forces me to slow down and to think, not to robotically hoard information in my external brain without first digesting it. You see, for me, the process of writing my thoughts down on paper and then revisiting them later on the day is a good gatekeeper to my external brain. I want to fill my external brain only with the most valuable of my thoughts and ideas, and for me, writing, pausing, and thinking is a really healthy step in my workflow. So anyway, after this, putting notes in my external brain. Now that I've written my ideas down on a piece of paper, now I've decided that I'd like to keep them, now it's time for me to put them into my external brain. So I open my Obsidian vault, I go to my Slipbox folder, and I create a new note, and voila. As you can see, I've set my Slipbox template with a date-time reference. Now this suits me because I like to have a record somewhere of when I created a note, and also if I ever give 2 or more notes accidentally the same title, then the date-time reference would make the whole title unique. I always give my note a short title, trying to convey the overall message of the note's content. Now this is useful for recognizing the content of a note long after it's written, but also forces me to really think about what the main message of the note is. Incidentally, if a note has more than one main point, then I really think the note needs to become 2 or more. Now, I have a space for a quotation in my Slipbox notes from the source which inspired the idea. Now, neither Lumen nor Aaron's nor many other people recommend this, but I like to have it. I like to have a record of what sparked my thinking. Now we move on to the main body, and this is the most important part because recording my ideas in the main body of the note slows me down, ensures that I've really thought about what I'm writing, and I'm not just collecting notes on other people's thoughts. I like to keep this part of the note as short as possible, but all my notes differ in length at this point. Okay, links. In this section, I consider a few things. Why would I want to stumble across this note again in the future? How does this note relate to other notes in my external brain? And what are the main ideas in this quote? Based on these answers, I add links appropriate to the subject. And then finally, sources and page numbers. Pretty self-explanatory. Here I link the note to the source. Incidentally, I have a folder for sources where I've created a note for each book or journal I've used to inspire a note or wiki in my external brain. I always link the note with its source. I think this is a good discipline for when or if I ever use my external brain to publish in the future. Let me just introduce wikis into the mix for a few seconds. While my Slipbox notes are constrained to a single thought or idea, and generally a relatively short thing, I also have wikis in my external brain which wouldn't work in note format. Now here's a wiki which is a narrative of the 30 Years' War and the Treaty of Westphalia. Now this is a historical narrative and just wouldn't work in a note format in a Slipbox. So I've created a separate wiki section for it, and later I'll tidy it up and add some links. Let me move on to Graph View. Now, this is probably my favorite part of the Obsidian tool. This is a visible representation of my external brain, with the links represented by these faint lines and with the different colored dots representing different types of input. So for instance, here we've got notes, sources, journal entries, MOCs, etc. Now, I love exploring this solar system, even though mine is pretty insignificant currently. It's fascinating to see where the kind of heat spots are of my thinking and study. There's also a function on Obsidian to see an animation of the external brain being built, which is what you're looking at just now, and I think this is brilliant. And so there you have it, a whistle-stop tour of my external brain and workflow. Now, I really hope this helps to cement your understanding of what I've been speaking about for the past couple of weeks. Now, something I haven't mentioned is the technical side of Obsidian, how to set it up, how to create links, the actual mechanics of creating an external brain on Obsidian. Now, let me just tell you a couple of things. First, I am useless at anything technical. So if I can do this, anybody can, literally. Second is, I am definitely the wrong person to try and teach you any technical stuff. But three, I know a guy. So, there's this great chap called Santi who I found to be really helpful in my external brain creation. He's a whiz at all the technical side. His YouTube videos are really, really good. I've put a link to them below. He reviews productivity platforms, shares great ideas, and is generally a really, really nice guy and very humble, really great to learn from and follow. Not only is his YouTube full of useful tips, but he's created an online Obsidian course which I subscribed to really early on after reading How to Take Smart Notes, and I still use it every week at the moment to help me navigate the practical side of building an external brain. Now, I've posted a link to his YouTube channel below, and I've posted a link to his online course, and I 100% recommend that if you're interested in productivity, in thinking, in online tools, then definitely go visit his YouTube channel, like and subscribe. And if you want to build an external brain system using Obsidian tool, then I definitely recommend that you subscribe to his course and learn from him. So anyway, that's the video over. I really hope that this video was helpful to you. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.